Exodus 13 to 15. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Sanctify to me every firstborn. Whatever opens the womb among the sons of Israel, both of man and of animal, it is mine. Moses said to the people, Remember this day in which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by a strong hand Yahweh brought you out from this place, and no hametz shall be eaten. Today, in the month of Aviv, you are leaving. It shall be that Yahweh brings you into the land of Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat matzah, and on the seventh day there shall be a feast to Yahweh. Matzah shall be eaten throughout the 7 days, and no hametz is to be seen among you. No leaven shall be seen among you within all your borders. You shall tell your son in that day, saying, It is because of that which Yahweh did for me when I came out of Egypt. It shall be for a sign to you on your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that the Torah of Yahweh may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand Yahweh has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep this ordinance in its season from year to year. It shall be, when Yahweh brings you into the land of the Canaanite, as he swore to you and to your fathers, and will give it to you, that you shall set apart to Yahweh all the first opens of the womb, and every firstborn that comes from an animal which you have, the males belong to Yahweh. Every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck, and you shall redeem all the firstborn of man among your sons. And it shall be, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What is this? That you shall tell him, By a strong hand Yahweh brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, that Yahweh killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of the livestock. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahweh all that opens the womb, being males, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. It shall be for a sign on your hand, and for symbols between your eyes, for by strength of hand Yahweh brought us out of Egypt. When Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, Lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around the way of the wilderness by the Red Sea, and the sons of Israel went up armed out of the land of Egypt. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had made the sons of Israel swear by saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones away from here with you. They took their journey from Succoth and camped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might go by day and by night. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night did not depart from before the people. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, that they turn back and encamp before Piahoreth, between Migdol and the sea, before Baal Zephon. You shall encamp opposite it by the sea. Pharaoh will say of the sons of Israel, They are entangled in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will follow after them. And I will get honor over Pharaoh and over all his armies, and the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. The king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was changed towards the people. And they said, "What is this that we have done, that we have let Israel go from serving us?" So he prepared his chariot and took his army with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt, with the captains over all of them. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the sons of Israel. For the sons of Israel went out with a high hand. Then the Egyptians pursued them. All the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen, and his army overtook them encamping by the sea beside Pihathoroth, before Baal-zephon. When Pharaoh came near, the sons of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they were very afraid. The sons of Israel cried out to Yahweh. They said to Moses, "Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you treated us this way, to bring us out of Egypt? Is not this the word which we have spoken to you in Egypt, saying, leave us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will work for you today. For you will never again see the Egyptians, whom you have seen today. Yahweh will fight for you, and you shall be still." Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Why do you cry to me? Speak to the sons of Israel that they go forward. Lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it. Then the sons of Israel shall go into the middle of the sea on dry ground. Behold, I myself will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will go in after them. And I will get myself honor over Pharaoh, and over all his armies, over his chariots, and over his horsemen. The Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have gotten myself honor over Pharaoh, over his chariots, and over his horsemen." The angel of God who went before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of Egypt and the camp of Israel. There was the cloud of the darkness, yet gave it light by night. One did not come near the other all night. Moses stretched out his hand before the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all night. It made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. The sons of Israel went out into the middle of the sea, dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on the right hand and on their left. The Egyptians pursued and went in after them into the middle of the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. At the morning watch, Yahweh looked down on the Egyptian army through the pillar of fire cloud and confused the Egyptian army. He took off their chariot wheels and drove them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, "Let's flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Egyptians." Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come again on the Egyptians, on their chariots, and on their horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength. When the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. Then Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. The waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, even all Pharaoh's army that went in after them into the sea. Not even one of them remained. But the sons of Israel walked on dry land in the middle of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on to their left. Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel saw the great work which Yahweh did to the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahweh, and they believed in Yahweh and in his servant Moses. Then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahweh and spoke, saying, "I will sing to Yahweh, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has thrown the horse and his rider into the sea. Yah is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will praise him. my father's God, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea. His chosen captains are sunk in the Red Sea. The deeps cover them. They went down into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Yahweh, is glorious in power. Your right hand, Yahweh, dashes the enemy in pieces. In the greatness of your excellency, you overthrow those who rise up against you. You send out your wrath, and it consumes them as stubble. With the blast of your nostrils, the waters were piled up. The flowing waters stood up like a heap. The deeps were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the plunder. My desire will be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. You and your loving kindness have led the people that you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength to your holy habitation. The peoples have heard, they tremble. Pangs have taken hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom were dismayed. Trembling takes hold of the mighty men of Moab. All the inhabitants of Canaan have melted away. Terror and dread falls on them. By the greatness of your army, they are still as stone. Until your people pass over, Yahweh, until the people you have purchased pass over, you will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, the place, Yahweh, which you have made for yourself to dwell in, the sanctuary, Adonai, which your hands have established. Yahweh will reign forever and ever. For the horses of Pharaoh with his chariots and his horsemen went into the sea, and Yahweh brought back the waters of the sea on them. But the sons of Israel walked on dry land in the middle of the sea. Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing to Yahweh, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. Then Moses led Israel onward from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Moriah, they could not drink from the water of Moriah, for they were bitter. Therefore its name was called Moriah. And the people grumbled against Moses, saying, What shall we drink? Then he cried to Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree, and he threw it into the waters, and the waters were made sweet. There he made a statute and an ordinance for them, and there he tested them, and said, If you will diligently listen to Yahweh your God's voice, and will do that what is right in his eyes, and will pay attention to his mitzvot, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you which I have put on the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh who heals you. They came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the waters.